actually really not that great at like selling myself. It's something that I've never been comfortable doing. But I like when other people do it. My career is music, and music does speak for itself. And when I perform, it speaks for itself.
Before we get to our guests, you know what time it is. It's Erin and Out, where I'm going to talk about the things that have inspired me or just piqued my interest. Today I want to talk about actually a conversation I had with my friends surrounding spirituality and how so much of it can influence you, can influence your work. The reason why I brought it up is because I was talking about my family. My great-grandmother is from the Taino tribe in Puerto Rico, and I've learned a lot about my spirituality, not only from my Native American side, but also from, the side that of my family that's Christian, and how I kind of took certain elements from both sides to really use it as a guiding force for myself. There's so many different energies and obstacles. The concept of groundness, which is a very big philosophy in spirituality, as well as when it comes to Native Americans and being one with nature, is something that's so crucial in keeping me grounded in my career. And I wish I could show you guys closer. Like, for example, I'm wearing a Ranadite necklace over here, and this is supposed to help to protect your heart chakra, your heart energy, being one with the now and the present. Speaking of being with the now and the present, I presently have my guest right next to me, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the spirituality later in the conversation. But first, I got to welcome her. Moxie, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited for this conversation because we were talking about spirituality, but we had like a massive amount of conversation before this. But, before we get into it, I want to first start off by letting you tell everyone who you are, what you do, beyond just my basic introduction.
My name is Moxie. I am a singer and songwriter, artist, creative person. That's all I do.
Oh, that's all you do? Okay, hold on.
A lover, a sister. You
gotta talk your ish. Drop your accolades. Let them know who you are.
I usually just let like the music do that. I'm actually really not that great at like selling myself. It's something that I've never been comfortable doing. But I like when other people do it. I am a Leo moon, so you know that I like to get my accolades.
So actually, this is an interesting part I want to start with. You mentioned about how you're kind of a shy in terms of letting people know who you are and your accolades and stuff like that. And the one thing I've encountered, it's kind of like a weird balance where, yes, it's important to be humble, but also you kind of have to sometimes talk your ish and show who you are, because unfortunately, entertainment, it's like if they don't see your accolades, if they don't see what you do, some people treat you like you're nobody. But it's difficult.
That helps me know what kind of people I'm around.
That's very true.
Because people who treat me a certain way, those are the people that usually get to know me.
Yeah.
And people that treat me a different way, they just won't get to know. And then they'll see me doing something and they'll be like, oh shoot, I should have been nice to her.
Yeah. But how does that work in your career? Because you kind of have to be.
Well, the good thing about my career is music, and music does speak for itself. Mm-hmm. And when I perform, it speaks for itself. And when I make a video, it speaks for itself. So a lot of it is not me speaking, it's me singing. That's the important part. And so I try to focus on that. There have been times where I've tried to do it a different way. But like I'm very big believer in like, it's very important what we say after the words I am, and it's very important to like your inner world is just a projection. Your mind is just a projector for your outside experience and your outside world. So I do like to think highly of myself. I do try to knock out negative thoughts out of my mind, and I encourage everyone around me. Like if I hear a friend being like, I'm like, you're not allowed to speak like that around me. Yeah. Like don't say that about yourself. Like you're just creating it. Like if you knock out that belief out of your brain, no one else will think it. We are the ones that create. Like negative thoughts we have about ourselves allows other people to think negative about us. And so like I'm just a big believer in that. Like and it's I mean, we're human. We're all gonna have those thoughts, and there's always going to be someone that has something to say, but like that's part of the evolution journey of like being human. Like you just have to I call it like cleaning my brain all the time. I'm always just like cleaning my brain. I'm like, oh, where did that thought come from? Like, I got to clean that out. And I don't even like to think negative thoughts about other people.
Wait, but so that's interesting because songwriting and music, there's a level of vulnerability to it, right? And sometimes, I wouldn't say you put your negativity into your lyrics, but the vulnerability that's associated with that negativity you do put into your music. So how do you find that balance when you're songwriting?
I used to have more like girl talk with my girlfriends where I would call and be like, oh, can you believe this guy, da 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 da. And I stopped doing that completely the past year. And every time I wanted to say something, I would sing it onto the mic. And I wouldn't have those conversations with my mom or my girlfriends or anybody. I just kind of stopped having those kind of like conversations. If I was talking to my girlfriends, we'd talk about like, creating something, building something or whatever, or I'd listen to them. But like, I decided that like when I speak like that, it's like for the creativity and it's like to connect with people and to like show my vulnerability and put it all into that. But when I'm not creating, I really don't sulk in those feelings. So it's like I get it out and then it's done.
Yeah, and I guess like that is a mark of evolution for yourself. You just showed that something that you did before and then you transition into projecting it into a manner that for you, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, is probably feels like more like a healthier outlet way of doing it. Absolutely. Because you're evolving as a person. And I would love to talk more about you evolving as a person, but before we get there, I want to set the framework of like, how did you start? Who was Moxie in the beginning?
I was just like a little girl. I'm from a like Italian, Sicilian, very loud, rambunctious, chaotic, big family. We have restaurants and everything is about entertainment and food and life and party and music. And so my dad, he's just an entertainer. Like he can sing a little bit, but we would just have music on in the house, 24/7. Like he would leave the house and leave music on so that when we walked in, it was playing because our house just was like full of music. And he would sit every night and tell me he knew like what years the records came out and who produced it and who was working with who. And I don't even know how he knew all these things, but like he would just tell me like, this Teddy Pendergrass song, and then he did this, and then the Temptations, and then Al Green, and so it just became something I became obsessed with, and then he was very, disappointed to know I want to be one of those people now. He's like, wait,
just enjoy it, but don't be it.
He's like, you gotta go to college, you gotta, work at the cheese shop, and you come work at the restaurant. And
wait, so you guys have like a family restaurant?
Yes.
I feel like is that like an Italian thing? It's always like some restaurant, right?
Right? Yeah. We are like a stereotype, like to the T, and I was just like, no, I'm going to be a singer. You taught me all about music and how amazing. And he's like, what did I do? I'm going to be a singer. I need to move to New York. And at 13, I moved to New York and lived with my sister to go to performing arts school. I got into this school that I applied without them knowing because I was like, I need to get out of this small town because everyone in my school was very like sports oriented and I'd be like in the outfield doing cartwheels and
that's New Jersey for you.
Had no friends, like none, and I was just like I need to go to New York City because I could see it from the beach. There's New York, it's right there. I just gotta go, and so I did, and I lived with my sister, and since I was 13, I've been in New York, and then I moved to LA when I got my first record deal with Capitol.
Congrats to that. Yeah. Congrats to your entire career.
But that was,
Yeah, congrats to I think like it's one of those accolade moments where you're just like, I don't really like to say it, but like not many people can say that they've gotten a deal. It comes out naturally.
I can't just be like, so
that deal I had, No, I think that's great. And around that time when you started to get into music, how has what was the style of your music then, and how has it transitioned into now?
So I always had like a natural style to my music that like things I would write in my room, and but I used to be more meek and like not very like when I would walk into these meetings at these labels, I would kind of be like, okay, well, you guys want to sell me like this, so I'm going to try, you know, and like do it. But I mean, to be honest, like I wasn't even that open-minded. Like I would just end up doing it their way because they would have control. But I would like, I remember like they'd send me a song and I'd get in the booth and I'd open my mouth to sing the first line and nothing would come out. I'd be like,
oh, wow.
Like I would refuse. And then they'd be like, she went to the studio, she won't sing it. Because I just didn't feel it.
Yeah. And
it felt like such a betrayal to like my energy. And so I dealt with that a lot, but then there was definitely some songs that came out that I was like coerced into. But I'm grateful for it all. It helped me like become a more like I realized my mentor once told me, what you allow, you do. And so I realized that like what I was allowing, I was just doing. And like the only person that they're going to look to, you put out this song. You.
Yeah.
And you have to stand on it. And so that's been my journey as like a woman, becoming a woman. And I'm a late bloomer. And so I think that like a lot of that like strength came from like going against betraying myself so many times.
Yeah. So I love the part where you said you allowed it to happen. And I think that accountability is something I feel like we need to talk more about when it comes to entertainment and creators. Because granted, are there things that happen to us? Yes. But I would say at least, I mean, this percentage could be different, but at least 50% of the stuff that we're like, oh, this happened to us, are things that we allowed to happen to us. And that we need to take more control of those things. I always tell creators, you are the CEO of your business. You're the CEO of yourself. You have to take control of these things, or else someone else is going to take control. And you, after that point, you can't complain, because most of the times you have power of that and you allowed it to happen. And I feel like that's something that's part of like that evolution and spiritual journey where, like you were saying, you were growing up and you realize the power that you have as a creator, the power that you have over your own destiny, right? So when did that start to happen for you?
It was happening, but I think I feel like I've hit like two moments in my life where I would consider like lowest points. So my first one, I had finished the Bieber tour. I was leaving Def Jam. I was just moved back with my parents for a little bit. Like it was just low, and I had this. That's when I came up with my character Carbon, my animated character, whole superhero thing. And when I kind of started to channel her, it was kind of like a one night like huge epiphany moment just of creation, and I was just like, it happened. Like, it sucks that it has to happen at those low points, but it's like when you have almost like nothing to lose, I'm just like, oh, I'm going full speed ahead. Carbon would never allow herself to betray her energy or her intuition, or there's a difference between like being open, because when you're open, you can feel when it feels good, or even if it's hard, okay, that's one thing. But when it feels like a betrayal against what you're doing, you can't allow that. And just from that moment forward, like creating her helped me, because those bracelets that are like, what would Jesus do?
Yeah. Yes.
I used to just be like, what would Carbon do? What would Carbon do in my head all the time, because I had such a strong image of her, and she was like who I was like running towards. And I don't know, something about that just night, like once that hit for me, it was just done. Just kind of one of those moments where it was just done. I was like, I will never, there's no point. Yeah. I've already been on stage at Madison Square Garden, or been on a 7-month tour, and like felt what it feels like to have the success and money in my bank account and this and that, and it brought no happiness at times because I wasn't being myself. So I'm like, oh, there's no point. Money means nothing. Success means nothing. Fame means nothing. If I'm betraying myself, none of this means anything.
And that was part of your growth journey, but you also had some dark times and hard times. You were dealing with health issues, you had a breakup, and as we continue on our journeys as talent, as creators, there's definitely many times we get knocked down. I think there's a misconception where people think, oh, it's just one time, one failure, one knockdown. No, you get knocked down many times. You got to get back up many times. And so
you get knocked down every day.
I know. Some days I'm like, what? It's like a love-hate, like, oh, God, I love it, but geez, why, right? Yeah. So, I would love for you to walk us through those hard periods and how you were able to come out stronger from that.
Well, so you brought up my second darkest time was when I was sick with COVID, and I was in and out of the hospital, and I was going through a really hard breakup at the time. And that's when, so the first time I had my breakdown, I found carbon. And the second time is when I feel like I really found God deeper. And for some reason, like I said, I like to keep my circle small, but for some reason, like during that time, it felt like nobody was there for me. Not because they weren't being good friends or good people in my life. It was just like the timing of it. Everyone had their own thing going on, and I was sick, and like I think God wanted me to be alone and realize that with nobody besides me and God, I will get better. Mm-hmm. No boyfriend, no manager, no this, no that, It's just me, and that became my superpower after being sick, because I was just like, everyone could leave me. Everyone could leave me. It's in me. Mm-hmm. It's right here. Like, everyone could leave. I could have nothing. I could have no money, whatever it is, I have the power. Like, it's always going to come back to me. It became like a magnetism. And like, that came from like literally almost dying. Because when you feel like you're going to die, like, I felt like I was going to die for like 2 months out of those 3 months, and you just realize, like, I don't know.
How precious life is.
How precious it is, and like how... I don't even know how to put it into words. Just like, it's on you. I don't know. It's on you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so, even though, I mean, I've had a near-death experience when I was younger, mm-hmm. and then also my mom deals with a lot of health issues. She's in and out in the hospital. I think she just got out of the hospital today, so I gotta, yeah. And it definitely changes your perspective. And the one thing that she told me, right, like, I have my, like, same as you, like, I've through that experience, I definitely have built my spirituality, whether it's my spirituality, my relationship with God, whether it is my relationship with nature. And then also, the one thing that my mom always instilled in me is going back to kind of what you're saying about the love and the foundation that you want around you. It starts with you first.
Absolutely.
And if you want love and the right healthy love, you got to have that for yourself. If you want to have positivity and all these other kinds of intangibles, you got to have that within yourself, because the internal energy that's within yourself is the energy that's manifested outside. Mm-hmm. And so that was something that I had to learn, and I think I didn't quite grasp it until maybe I was 27, mm-hmm. and for some reason, I don't know what it was, but when I was 27, it just, something clicked, and I was like, I need to start this self journey. Like, mm-hmm. I can't keep going this way that I'm going right now. And that's when I started therapy. I started meditation. I started developing a further relationship with God. I've been much more spiritual, getting into, the nature with the crystals mm-hmm. and stuff like that. And, I feel like that journey and what I went through, everything's starting to manifest from it. Mm-hmm. Even like I even believe that, like, the manifestation of you being here and the mm-hmm. energy that you're giving off, mm-hmm. it's like the law of attraction.
Oh yeah, we're like on the same path.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It all starts with you. Like, what kind of friend are you? Mm-hmm. How do you love? What kind of thoughts do you have? What do you give? How do you spend your day? Like, all of that is, you're just becoming a magnet for those things.
Yeah, but then part of it too is, this is the hard part, is like when you're growing and you're starting to manifest these things internally and externally, not everyone is going to be there for the ride, because not everyone is going to connect with you or vibrate with you on the same frequency. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those are people that are close to you, mm-hmm. that sometimes it's people on your own team, mm-hmm. Even people in relationships. And it's like, and then you have to make that decision where it's like, I love you, I care about you, but at this current time, your energy and your vibration is just not working with me, and it's not matching with me. And I've been struggling with that.
That's where unconditional love comes in.
Yeah.
Like, and if they don't unconditionally love you, then that is definitely a reason to walk away.
But I think it's hard for some people, though.
Absolutely, it's hard, but that's not on you.
I know. Oh, trust me, I'm very like boundaries, ground, like. Because I've had to have that conversation with a friend, and I'm sorry, this kind of like triggered something for me where I had to have conversations with friends where, you know, I feel like because of my growth, I'm much more self-aware, and I feel like I'm a very accountable person. But I've had to start telling people, you know, I love you, and if there's things that I did that impact you, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to carry the weight and energy and baggage that you have. That is yours to carry and yours alone. And I've had to do that, but it's caused a lot of conflicts and conversations and loss of friends off of these things. I mean, did you ever have to go through that?
Yes, I still go through that. Like, and it's so hard because you love these people, but you can't. And like, I always think that when you do that, when you carry like 1, 2, 3, 4 people's whatever baggage, because you're like the friend that's on this journey or whatever, and you're trying to uplift and, you know, whatever, you're actually just weighing yourself down, and then you're doing a disservice to God and your purpose. So I'm like, okay, I don't follow people, I follow God. So if I can't do what I'm supposed to do, then I'm just betraying my purpose. Like, and like you said, it's not my responsibility, even though I would love to. Maybe I can help way more people. If I am being weighed down by too many people and I'm thinking, oh, I want to help them, if I pursue my purpose, I can help way more people. And that's what I think about. I'm like, okay, you might hate me now, but I'm going to help 1 million people instead of helping 4. And everyone has the power to help 1 million people if we just follow our purpose, you know? But yeah, it's like, it's hard, but I don't like when I take so much accountability for myself. Like, I know that everything is on me. Everything that I do, even if someone's mean to me at the grocery store, I don't be like, oh, that woman was a whatever. I think, who was I? Who did I speak to like that in the past week? Because if that's coming back to me, I must have done it. So if people aren't taking accountability like that, it's like, oh, my friend always thinks negative thoughts, and then negative things happen to her. I'm like, well, stop. It's like, I can be blue in the face telling you not to think negative thoughts, but if you don't do it yourself, like, you know?